everybody, and good morning. Are you excited for our second workshop today? All right. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about power prospecting, how to talk to people about your business and your product confidently and professionally. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about presenting, which I think is kind of funny, actually, that I served as one of the judges on stage during You Think You Can Present. Because truth be told, I really sucked at presenting. I remember going to Randy Gage's presenting school several years ago and doing probably a 50-some page PowerPoint slide and sitting and anxiously awaiting feedback. And Randy said something along the lines of, "I love that as much as I loved gouging my own eye out with a spoon." Ouch. But here's the thing. In all seriousness, Randy and I have developed a relationship where I look to him as a mentor. Therefore, I'm ready to receive the feedback. I went for the feedback so I could become a better speaker. It was hard for me to hear some of the feedback during the time. I, in fact, went back up to my hotel room, and if I'm telling a truthful story, I cried. And my husband said something to me. He said, "Sarah, so what are you going to do with this information? Are you going to be bitter? Or are you going to become better?" He said, "You need to really look at what he truly told you and look for all of the truth that he shared with you so you can become a better speaker. You came here for feedback. You got feedback. So what are you going to do with that feedback?" So I got myself together, I gained composure, and I thought, okay, this is true. This is truth that I needed to hear. And I started implementing the things, once the emotions went away, that Randy shared. And the next year, I went to speak at an event. And people who didn't even know that I had gone to the speaker school said, "Sarah, that's night and day. You've totally shifted as a speaker." So I want to encourage you guys this morning, if you have the opportunity to go to that speaker school. I said to Randy backstage, I said, "This is your legacy. Isn't it incredible?" I'm sitting there, I'm listening to people share their stories. I remember portions of what they said. He can literally recite their whole story, help them to package it in such a powerful way. I can't do that. And I told Randy, I said, "You're the one who's gifted to do it and to really leave your legacy. This is part of your legacy. It's raising up the next generation of network marketing speakers and leaders." So I truly encourage you to go to that class. Now, here's the great news. As I shared, I can't do what he does, so I'm not going to be talking to you about the sense of how to present yourself and speak. I'm going to be sharing more along the lines of how to present your story and your company's story in a way that's compelling. Not perfect. Perfectionism equals procrastination. If I have to do it and be perfect, chances are your new team member will never step on the stage. They'll never rise to the occasion of going on that call and sharing their story. So I just want to empower you in a way that I do as a teacher. You can tell my training style, my speaking style is I love to teach you and to teach you how to teach your team and how to shine and keep this super, super simple. We're first going to be talking about the foundation of a good presentation, which I believe is learning how to share your personal story, but also learning how to share your company story as well. We talked a little bit yesterday about how to package your personal story in a way that was compelling, but also very concise. There is nothing more painful than watching somebody come to the stage and talk for 20 minutes about themselves, right? A good packaged personal story should be about a minute in length, and I like to cover the following 5 points when I share my story. First, sharing a little bit about my background, who I am, and what my history was really prior to joining. The second thing was, why was I looking for opportunity, or did opportunity find me? Next, how did I hear about it? And I keep it very brief. Fourth, why did I join? Maybe it's my personal why, or what compelled me to join my opportunity. And the fifth is always the best part. What is the business doing for me? Or what do I plan on it doing for me and for my family as well? Remember, use powerful words, nothing wishy-washy or wimpy like I'm hoping or if it all works out. I plan to. This business is. And remember, as we spoke about yesterday, focus on meaning versus money. We don't know what's a lot or a little to some people. We also want to be very compliant too, so it's important that we talk about in part-time hours what the business is allowing us to do. How is it allowing us to live? How is it allowing us to give? The next important component of telling a story is our company story. Now, this is an outline that I've created for my team, and I tell them I believe these are some key talking points for when we share our story. I call it the 4 Ps. Clearly, you would never say that when you're presenting, because that would just sound super strange. Hi, guys, I'm here to talk to you about the 4 Ps today. No. This is a little outline for you when you look at how to craft a compelling story without having to use a 50-slide PowerPoint. By the way, that's why Randy said he wanted to gouge his eye out. It wasn't because of me. It was because of my 8 million slides that I had to share my opportunity. So if you go to that speaking school, you'll learn more. But this is how to do it without 8,000 slides and speaking from the heart. The first thing is talking about the partnership with your company. What is your company about? Who did you join? What do they do? Who do they represent? What makes you proud? Next, talking more about your products, not ingredients, because you'd overwhelm half of the crowd, maybe more, but talking about features and benefits, the marketplace demand, what causes them to stand out above the rest. Third, programs, talking a little bit about why network marketing is the smartest, one of the most scalable, simple businesses on the planet. Why is it smart? How do your programs work? What are they? And just a very high level of how you're paid, not percentages, but through retail profits, commissions, incentives, bonuses. They don't just pay us well, they recognize us well. And sharing some of the benefits as well. And last, always focusing on positioning and timing to create urgency as to why now is the time. Here's why now is the perfect time to join us. Whether it's new product launch, you recently had your company convention, new programs, a new market that's opening, always give them why now is the time. And don't forget to assemble the ask. Get your ask in gear. Let them know who you're looking for, people to try the product and get great results, whatever they are. And people to join our fun and fast-growing team and get these added benefits. And you have to really get good at sharing. So today we're going to talk about how to share your business, how to present yourself, your story, and your company story in casual settings, more formal settings, and one that I'm very excited about, virtual events. So let's first talk about casual connection. Yesterday I shared with you how my business partner, Rose, was able to connect with Stacy and build on her credibility and say something like this. Stacy, I know you've got a great network in Chicago. I'm building a business there. I would love to share it with you and pick your brain to get ideas on how to grow it and see who you might know that would be interested in it. Could I treat you for coffee? And remember, we said in today's day and age, you can treat them for coffee locally or you can do it virtually. You can meet on FaceTime or Skype and give them a little coffee e-card and sip coffee together as you chat. And what did she do? How did she present it in a casual setting? She shared her why she joined. She shared the what what it's doing for her, what we're doing. But then she shared the who we're looking for. She said, Stacy, I'm looking for people to try the products and get these benefits, and people to join our fun and fast-growing team. They get these added benefits. And she said, who do you know this would be great for? So in sharing in a casual setting, we lay the groundwork, we ask for the who, and if they present themselves as somebody who might be interested, think about this, guys. How brilliant is that? She sat Stacy down without targeting Stacy, but to say, let me tell you the whole story. It would be as if she was giving Stacy the presentation for her own benefit and said, who do you know? What if they identify themselves? And she did. So what do? You invite them to the next presentation, the next meeting or event. So we're going to talk about what some of those events look like today. First of all, we're going to talk about home events. I'm going to be the first to tell you my company is not a party plan company, but I am willing to do anything for a short period of time for the long-term rewards that I desire and my family deserves. You hear me say all of the time, what is your why worth? If you're doing this part-time, which most people are, I looked and I thought, I would rather have 10 people in my home for an hour than talk to one person on the phone, one at a time, any single day. I knew events were going to be the way to grow my business fast. So in the beginning, now keep in mind, I was shy, I had no network, my friends were young and broke just like me. So I kept thinking, how am I going to grow my network? How am I going to put myself out there? And I shared with you some of those ideas yesterday on how I did it. But I would do these themed events every single month to keep people coming back. January was New Year, New You. February was love the skin you're in. March was appreciation. I'm lucky to have you in my life, and poured out love onto my friends, my family, and my customers. April, my birthday month, did a birthday bash. You guys name it, I did it. And I always invited people to bring friends. Then moving forward from there, I started doing these meetings weekly. I even did them in my home, a little coffee and conversation events where I would invite my friends and my guests and my customers, and I would tell my personal team, those that I've sponsored, you go ahead and do the same. So we're going to talk about pre-event, what to do to set up to have a great event, during the event, and post-event. Now, I want to just give this disclaimer. Some of you have very packaged presentations you're already recommending. I don't want to take anything away. You just might find some extra tips that you can add to making it a really successful event. So first and foremost, pick a theme, create an atmosphere, and have a lot of fun. That's how you can continue to host events that people actually want to come to. Focus on inviting. I cannot stress the importance enough of making sure that all of your invitations are not virtual. People invite me to things on Facebook all the time, and Facebook is such a busy place. In fact, people will get offended and say, didn't you see I invited you to so-and-so's first birthday on Facebook? I'm like, if it was that important to you, why did I not get an invitation? I'm not on Facebook checking Facebook events. I just don't. So if I don't, I'm sure many people don't, because I consider myself to be fairly active on social media. If it's important to you, show the people that you're inviting that they're important. So hard copies of invitations, yes, you're like, that's old school. Guess what? It's not old school. It's just good manners. Send them an invitation. Thank you. It's true. I love, by the way, when people say things are old school, I'm like, old school or just good manners? I mean, I don't know. But anyways, your pick. It's good manners. Send them an invitation and follow up with them personally. Hey, girl. Hey, friend. I just wanted to be sure that you got my invitation. I personally wanted to invite you to this event. Your support, your being there would mean the world to me. Following up prior to the event. Hey, I'm getting red and white wine. Want to make sure I have enough. Are you a red girl or a white girl? I just want to be sure that I have enough for you, or I've got your favorite in stock, right? Keeps from those last-minute fizzles out, which happen all the time, like, oh, should I fake sick? I don't really want to go to this event tomorrow, right? So making sure that you're staying in touch. Have your product displayed. I know this sounds elementary, but you wouldn't believe when I show up to events and they're all inside of the box, outside of the box, and open, inviting for people to try them. To do the presentation, you might have some video clips or some things that you want to share, before and after pictures, progress pictures, etc. Either have Apple TV set up so you can project it, or a little HDMI cord that goes from your computer to the TV. For ordering, this is a big one for me. I never give order forms to guests. And here's why I don't do it. And I don't, by the way, make people wait in a mile-long line to place an order online either. I don't give people order forms because what happens when they sit down and they're not looking at me and all they're looking at is numbers and price? They've automatically formulated an objection. So what I do is I have them on clipboards, and I'll talk to you about how I assume the sale and suggest the products and help them in placing the order. Refreshments are great, but remember, it's not people's last meal. I actually refrain now from putting all the refreshments out in the beginning, because then they're not paying attention to anything we're saying. However, if I've got the wine and cheese flowing and good afterward, guess what? Everybody stays. They stay long enough for me to make a recommendation, to ask for the order, to assume the sale. I also have raffles too. So raffles are a great way to gain business. I tell them, come, you'll get a ticket for a raffle, whatever it is you're raffling off. Bring a guest, you'll get another. Place an order that night, you'll get another. Inquire about the business or set up an appointment to hear more, you'll get another. Agree to host an event for me, you'll get another. Now here's a great tip for you guys. If you have team members or you have friends that live out of your state or out of your area, which I'm assuming you do, or people who can't make it live, have somebody do a Facebook Live into a group that you've set up for that evening. Now here's a tip. If your event is to start at 1 o'clock, you know people are late and we rarely start on time. So the event starts at 1, tell the virtual people to be ready at 1:30 to watch your presentation live. And then you get really good at 1:15 or 1:20 getting people corralled into the spot where you're going to be doing the presentation and having them ready to go live at 1:30. All the person has to do is click go live into the group. And now you have a virtual element of the presentation and a permanent recording that if people couldn't go live, they backed out or they live far away, that you can say no problem. You can listen to the replay. The replay and all of the offers will be available until this time, and always put an end time on it and delete the event. It creates urgency. So a good components of the presentation would be this: always opening and welcoming and sharing your why, your personal story. Then transitioning more into the business. Let me tell you a little bit more about the business that has changed my life. If there's team members in the room that you can have come up and share their personal stories, which we talked about how to package, invite them to come up and share more supporting stories, which creates social proof. It builds belief. Segue into the products. What makes our opportunity so unique are our award-winning products. Let me tell you about them. And that would be where I would tell my personal product story that we packaged together yesterday. Give an overview of the products, and where you can, if you have customers in the audience or distributors in the audience that could give good supporting stories, packaged 30-second versions for your product, have them share. And then don't forget to conquer the close. The most awkward thing that happens at events is when people don't close the event. Listen, if people didn't want to come to support you, trust me when I say they would not be there. It is so awkward when you don't ask. It is so awkward when you don't close the event. It is so awkward when your friend grabs the purse and they're like, I don't even really know what to do except for find the door right now. You think it's awkward to ask. It's awkward when you don't close out your event. So I tell people, so here's what we're going to do next. You guys can go ahead and mix and mingle, grab refreshments, try out the products. I don't want you to leave until I make a personal recommendation for you. And I'll tell them a little bit about our program, how they can best order the products, the 2 different ways. Customer get these benefits, distributor get these benefits. And that's where I pick up the good old clipboard and my order forms. And I'll go around one by one and I'll say, hey, so-and-so, let's say it's skincare. If you could change one thing about your skin, what would it be? And I make a recommendation. But then I take it a step further and I say, you know what, let me show you that product. And we engage in a conversation about the products. $1 million tip for you, I learned from my business partner. Nobody ever well, I shouldn't say nobody. It's very rare that people will identify at the event that they're interested in the opportunity. Most people are scared. And so I'll ask them, you know, you're so friendly, or I know you know a lot of people through your real estate business. Realtors are so great at what we do. Would you ever be open to hearing more about the opportunity? Mark it on the form. And then I'll circle the suggestion and simply say, if you'll fill out the ordering information, your credit card information, whatever it is, down below, we're going to be placing these orders today. We're closing out our event today. I'll give you an extra entry into the raffle. And if you're doing the event for somebody, leaders say, you'd be doing Jane a great favor by placing this order today versus taking home the form. It'll really help her out in making her first promotion, etc. So making sure that you ask, you assume the sale. Post-event, always follow up. Thank people for coming. If they didn't place an order, ask them if they'd be interested in placing the order before you go ahead and submit all of the orders for that event. Ask if they had an interest in the business or anything they heard that day. And would they be willing to host an event for you? My business is expanding. I'm looking to meet new people. Would you host an event for me in exchange for some free product, my discount on the product, an Amazon gift card, whatever it is, as a thank you? You invite your friends, I'll do all the work, and I'll throw in a great gift for you. All right, let's shift gears to virtual events. Now, these were one of the most impactful things that I started doing on a regular basis for my business. For a while, I watched people do them, and I want to be very honest, I put it in the that's too hard box, and I started watching these teams that were just experiencing explosive momentum, and I thought, in order to remain relevant in this space, in today's time with technology, with my team, I have to be a student of these events. So I started asking people, can I watch your event? And I started learning and kind of reformulated to my own personality, my own style to make them work for me. We did them monthly, then we started doing them weekly because we're reaching people now, not just throughout the US, but also around the globe. And we did some fun themes, similar to my live events, to change it up a bit, to keep distributors super excited, but also to personalize them to attract different prospects, different types of people, different backgrounds. We did some products and possibilities. By the way, we always present both the product and the opportunity. I never leave one out. We've done our beauty bashes where we do designer giveaways and fun things. Giving in gratitude, highlighting people who give back. Focusing on meaning versus the money stories, what the business is allowing people to do. We focused on certain professions, like events for teachers. So we'll have a lot of teachers on and telling their story. You get the gist. So here's some tips and techniques for you that I train people when they do live events. First and foremost, you've got to have great lighting. If you're going to have light coming in from behind you, so for example, if you watch my prospecting tip a day, I'm in my office and I've got a big window behind me. It's not ideal. It's just the way my office is set up, and it's the way that I've got my whole setup set up. So I don't want to move. So what did I do? I have a light to shine on the front of me. Google lighting. Look on Amazon. Pick the best one for your setup, your station, and make sure you've got good lighting. Get a stand, people. These are cheap. No shaky hand. People like to view the video as they would view a TV. So if you're doing horizontal, it looks a little strange. It cuts it off. People like to view, or I'm sorry, if you're viewing vertical, go horizontal. People like to view it as they're watching a TV. Connect the dot. So this is key. When you're looking at your actual smartphone, look at the camera, the dot. When you're looking at yourself to see okay, how's my hair looking? And how am I smiling? How am I doing? You're making no eye contact with the audience at all. So always connect the dot. Look at that dot when you're talking. Who cares about what your hair looks like? Do it beforehand, okay? Create a catchy title or a theme and get ready to go live. So here are some of the elements. Again, I'm not telling you to ditch your presentation that you're doing. Some elements of a good presentation. I want to share with you just $1 million tip up front. I always do giveaways on live events because it gets people on, but if you do them correctly, it keeps people on. Now, sometimes it's been some of our product. Sometimes for the beauty bashes, they're Kate Spade earrings or something fun. Obviously, you have to cater it to your company. But just something to attract people on and to keep them on. We would say, designer prizes, no purchase necessary, come for a great night of networking, and learning about such and such brand, right? Everybody's favorite product, whatever it is. And I will tell people, the more they interact, the greater the chance they have of winning. But they have to be on at the end because that's when we're going to be giving the prize away. So, here's a little bit about my format. I always welcome and tell people my why I joined, my story, but then I engage the distributors. That's why I totally recommend you do it with your team, or you don't have a team, cross-line, sideline, somebody else in your company to get more energy and momentum. Partner with people, do them together. I will always say after I share my why, well, that's my story. Distributors, consultants, go ahead and shout out your why. Why did you join and your what? What is the business doing for you? It creates immediate engagement, opening up the event. Tons of stories start coming in, which only builds belief and creates social proof. And it's not a stagnant event. Then, give great value. So during the event, I will then share, a little bit more about the business. That's my story. Here's a little bit more about our company story. And I'll segue into products. So similarly, what makes our opportunity so unique? It's our award-winning products. Let me tell you my personal story. And I tell my product story that we packaged earlier for you. I'll do an overview of each of the products, and how do I get the guests interacting? I'll say, if you believe such and such product is right for you, shout out below, I'm interested. Cues their consultant, creates engagement, and you'll be entered to win our giveaway at the end. But then also when I'm sharing the products, I'll ask our consultants, our distributors, I'll say, if you had a great experience with this product, if you've got a great story for this product, go ahead and shout it out below. Again, building belief for each product, creating that social proof. Now, at the end, I always set my team up for success, and I help them in conquering the close. I'll share the 2 different ways that we have to order, and you share as many ways as you have. But for us, I'll say, two different ways that I recommend that you order. One is as a preferred customer and to get the following benefits. The other is as a distributor. You'll get those benefits, but some added benefits as well. Your consultant after today is going to reach out to you and say 3 things. So I'm like, hint, hint, consultants, listen in. They're going to say 3 things. Number 1, thank you for attending. They're going to say number 2, what questions do you have? And number 3, which of those ways would you like to get started? And they can help you in placing the order or joining our fun and fast-growing team. Now, I've got another $1 million tip for you, and I was so glad when Randy gave us permission to use notes because I was thinking, oh, shoot, I would wonder what he's going to say about this, but it's true. If you've watched my training tips, I actually did this a few days ago on my tip of the day. I called the training Take Note. I am not the ingredient product guru in my company at all, by any means. I just don't remember those things. So I actually take a magic marker and I write on the back of my products. You could put it on a sticky note if you don't want to write on the back of your products. And do you know when you're doing a virtual event or even a live event, it's kind of like those beauty bloggers do, right? And they like hold up their makeup brush and they've got like, in front of the thing. I haven't quite mastered that yet. But when you're holding it up in front of the dot, you can see what's on your screen and you can actually read the bullet points. You can do that at a live event too. And I'll post some of the features, the benefits, a place that's been featured in the press. And I literally leverage that for my notes for the product. 11 years in, thousands of presentations later, I still take notes. And I use notes. So remember this again. Perfectionism equals procrastination. You need to just empower your team to do the events. So here's how it looks. This may be elementary for some of you, but some of you have never done a Facebook Live in your life. Raise your hand if you've done a Facebook Live. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you've never done a Facebook Live. Okay, there's a good portion of the room. So you used to not be able to do it on a computer. Great news. You may not even know you can do it on a computer now, which is awesome. So you can leverage your smartphone, you can leverage your laptop and do one on Instagram Live, one on Facebook Live now, which is really great if you only have 2 devices. But it's super simple. It's like you're posting a status on Facebook. You click on status. Then the cool thing is, now keep in mind I flipped my camera, so you're viewing it like you're watching a TV show. This magic wand, you can put filters. Mine always likes to make me a baby shark. Anybody else? Like I turn it on and it's like baby sharks on. I'm like, why does this always pop up? I don't know. So I turn off the filter, no filter. I will not be a baby shark for any of my lives. Now maybe I should do it just for fun. And then I consider this $1 million tip. If you used to watch my videos, you knew when I held up my book, it was always backwards. And you all were so sweet and gracious, and you were like, your book, it's backwards. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't think you can fix it. And Art Jonak is so sweet. He sent me a message, and he said, you do know you can fix it, right? And I was like, no, I had no idea. So under the tools, these little tools, it allows you to do the horizontal flip. You see with the black square and the white square, you can actually flip the camera so you can actually see how it would be viewed by guests, which is a really great tip. You then click go live, you get a countdown 3, 2, 1, and smile. Remember, it takes a moment for people to come on your live videos though too. So you'll always notice I'll kind of buy time and I wait in the beginning by saying, hey everybody, welcome to the event or welcome to the live. As we're waiting for people to join us, go ahead and comment below who you are, where you're tuning in from. I would love to say hello to you. If it's your first time watching, click a number 1 in the comments below. I would love to warmly welcome you. As we're waiting to get started, let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'll be the host of tonight's event or today's Facebook Live. And basically, I'm buying time, but I'm also getting engagement as I wait for the event to start. Another great tip for you guys is always leave the event live and the offers live for a limited time. Whether it's till the end of the week or the end of the month, creating urgency, and I'll put in the replay. As you can see, replay and incentives are available until this time at midnight. Then I delete the event, delete the offers until I post the next event. Another fun bonus tip for you guys as well is you can actually launch new partners locally and virtually simultaneously. And if you're not, my goodness, you're not leveraging the best of your time. So when virtual events kind of first started happening, I would say to people, okay, let's plan your live event and your virtual event. And now I realize very quickly you can combine the two all at one time. So how does it work? I believe in the I do, we do, you do method, similar to physicians, see one, do one, teach one. When we do events, we schedule your first 3 together. By the way, I don't ask people permission to host an event. When they joined me, they told me they wanted to be successful. So I don't say, do you want to do an event? I say, the next step is, you said you wanted to be successful, we're scheduling 3 events. Let's get our calendars, let's do this. People don't want to do work. They don't want to do anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. It's my job to guide them, to teach them, to train them. So we schedule their 3 events. I will go and do the first, and I have them take notes. The second we do together, so we'll break it up. You do products, I'll do business. The third they do on their own. I'll give them feedback, and then they're out of the nest. They can do events. They start doing them for their team. See one, do one, teach one. I do, we do, you do. So if you're going to be there live, and you can do this virtually too, but if you're going to be there live, why not have somebody, a spouse, a significant other, a friend, a family member, somebody in the crowd, or taking turns videoing each other, right? Why not have somebody Facebook Living that into a group for the people who can't make it live because they live far away or they couldn't come at that time, that they can say, no problem, leverage the replay, and they can schedule a follow-up with that person. I launched a new business partner this way, and she actually had more success on the virtual side of things because she was able to invite so many people to watch her event as she launched live. So Facebook Live truly is a beautiful thing. Next, let's talk about how to support your team through team meetings. Again, in order to get what we got, you have to be willing to do what we did. I'm going to be the first to say, this level of success did not come without hard work, without sacrifice, and in this case, without schlepping my products and my projector every single week for years until my team was duplicating success. The good news is my team members now do weekly meetings, and I'll go every now and then as a special guest and show up and do a regional event or a national event because of the hard work that I did up front. So it's not something you have to do forever. But we created a groundswell in our area. I've got a great story of a gal who created a groundswell in our company. Her name is Natalia. She was the first to build to a 6-figure income her first year. Again, results not typical, right, in network marketing. She worked very, very hard. But most of her team, the majority of her team was local. When our company started, we were in pre-launch. We didn't have at the time, we do now, we didn't have a presentation. We didn't have training. We didn't even have a compensation plan at the time. We didn't know how we were going to get paid. The only thing we had was belief, our products, and our stories. That was it. So she would go, and she, in her words, she would say, I'd schlep my products every single week. They started in a small clubhouse, went to a big clubhouse, a small hotel, a big hotel, started with, just a table full of people, and now their meetings can have thousands of people at them. She says, the number one key to my success was events. I told my story. I told my company story. I featured success stories of the product and the business. We just talked. We didn't have a PowerPoint. We didn't have a presentation. But I made it so simple for my team to duplicate. This is a business of duplication. It's not about how good or great you are. They made it so simple that the only thing she had to teach her team, the only thing was how to invite. Hey, we're doing this next week. Invite your friends. And she would share a powerful presentation week after week after week and built one of the fastest growing teams and probably the top local team, right? Because all of her team is built locally simply through events. Nobody said she had to, but she knew to have the success that she wanted, she was going to have to exchange time in the beginning and make it simple for her team to duplicate. So you can pick a theme. Casual, coffee and conversation, cocktails and conversation, product and possibility, customer appreciation. Or do something formal. A business opportunity meeting, which I also like to call an orientation meeting. It's not just for guests, it's for consultants. You need to be there every single week to learn how to talk about the business, to talk about the products. Plus, when you have a guest, you're going to want to be sure that that room is full of energy for you, right? So there's an agreement. We all go. We all bring guests. We all learn how to share the opportunity. We're going to talk about pre, post, and after the event. So pre-event, products displayed, audio-visual set up, ordering and enrollment stations. If you don't have a place for people to enroll and order, that's a problem. You want to close people on the spot. For these types of event, I like to have some sort of incentive, a gift with purchase or a gift with enrollment if they end up joining on the spot. Couple $1 million tips for you. Number one, if you want leaders to go, if you want to empower leaders, if you want to get engagement, you give them a job. I didn't set everything up every week. That's a burden. I want to empower my people. Karen, you are amazing with people. Would you please manage registration for us and find people to volunteer and do the registration, the name badges, take money. We charge to help us cover the room, $5 a person, $10 a person, whatever. For consultants, guests are free. Would you manage that for me? If you do Eventbrite, whatever, they can manage it. So-and-so, you should have had a business and party planning, but thank God we found you. You are so good at entertaining and setting up displays. Would you mind bringing the products every week or finding somebody, if you can't do it, finding somebody. You're just in charge of making sure it's done to do the product display. So-and-so, you're so organized. Will you make sure that all of the forms are printed off for ordering, for enrollment, etc.? You get the gist. Everybody's got to have a job. If not, you empower them to tell your story. You'll tell your product story this week. Let's package it. I want to hear it before you go up. I never sent somebody on a stage without hearing their story first, because we've had a few surprising situations. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Like when somebody's giving like a full-blown, like, I'll just leave it there. It was bad. I've learned my lesson. Okay, real quick, tell me your 1 minute story. 1 minute story. They're not ready. You know what? Let's package it together. Let's work on it for next week. I always made sure I practiced with them. And remember that agreement. We all go, and we all bring guests. So here's just an idea of a format of what we did and what worked for us. You'll adjust to what works for you. We tell people there could be a time of networking, 30 minutes prior to start. My team knew I was strict on this, especially when you have a babysitter. We start 7 o'clock on the dot. Parents, you know how it feels when you're paying a babysitter, time is on the clock, and you're looking and you start an hour late. It's not nice. It's not respectful of people's time. I would shut the doors. So people who walked in late, they felt it. They knew they were walking in late. No, it's 6:30. We're doing the time of networking. We are starting the presentation at 7 on the dot. Same format of welcoming and why, business and business stories. So that's where I'd bring people up to share their stories, product and product stories, and a call to action and a close. Now, my presentations are typically about 30 to 40 minutes in length max. Any longer, you really start to lose people, right? So during that time, what I would ask when we're done, if you're a guest and you're here with a distributor or consultant, you'll notice I changed those words because we call them consultants in our company. If you're a guest, stay in the room with your consultant. We want to come by, and our leadership team is just going to greet you, make you feel good. We're going to say hi to you. We're not going to scare you at all, but we'll also answer any questions that you have. And our team knows that if they didn't bring a guest, to go ahead and just quietly exit and chit-chat outside, because otherwise people come up, they're trying to start taking pictures with you, ask you training questions, and you're not even helping close people's guests, which is why you're there in the first place. So if they don't have a guest, they leave. Those are leaders clapping. They're like, yes, thank you. So if they don't have a guest, they kindly and respectfully, they just walk outside and they can mix and mingle and chat. If they do have a guest, they stay in the room with their guests, and our leadership team goes similar to church. We greet people. We make them feel welcome. We ask them questions. We learn more about them. And we'll say, hey, what questions do you have about today? And we do our best as leaders to help close people with the enrollment offer, or if you offer the opportunity to have a new consultant training or some training of some sort, that if they join now, they could stay for the training too. It's always an opportunity. And I will say, just as an option for you, when we started offering a 30-minute training after, we actually got more consultants or distributors to come and to stay when they knew that they would get value in hearing training as well. Don't overwhelm yourself with what the training looks like. Have somebody 1 week, hey, can you train on this product regimen this week? Hey, can you train on prospecting and how to talk to people this week? And again, empower leaders to talk or having success. Post-event, teach them to send follow-up information and to schedule a follow-up call to hear more. So this is the big one that I really want to focus in on today. It's 3-way calls. So I want people to be totally honest, and then I'm going to ask a question. Who has done or been on a three-way call before? Raise your hand. Okay, hands down. If you've never done one or you've never been on one, don't be shy. Hands nice and tall, just so I can see who I'm talking to today. It'll help me out. Okay, so the question that I always have for people when I'm talking one-on-one is, it's such a powerful tool. Why are we not doing them? Why are we not leveraging them? And typically people will say, I don't know how, or they'll say, nobody's doing them with me or for me. Remember, if you heard me in the leadership session, I am big on taking ownership for your success. Big on it. If you don't have somebody who's doing calls for you now, don't blame it on them. Find somebody in your company and say, would you be willing to learn how and to do these calls together? Because they're powerful. They really help with increase your conversion rate as well. So what they are, basically it's an opportunity for a distributor to get on the phone with one of their business partners and their business partner's guests to learn more about the opportunity. Now, if you're wondering, how do I do a three-way call? Just Google iPhone three-way call. It's like a good old-fashioned party line. Several people on the phone. My parents met on a party line, by the way, and they're married 40-some years later, which is super cool. So, you don't know how, have fun with it. Call two of your friends. Hey, let's all talk and let's figure this out. It'll be fun. But why are they powerful? Third-party validation, social proof, somebody else's story builds belief. If you're new, why does it help you? Why will it help your new people? Because they don't have to be perfect in presenting. They listen, they hear how you share it, how you handle questions, how you answer objections, and you can help them in assembling the ask. Sometimes it feels awkward to ask our friends to join us, but they could say, so-and-so's been saying great things about you. I know she'd love to have you on the team. What are your thoughts? And in terms of timing for enrollment, when would you like to get enrolled? These are questions you can ask that maybe it's uncomfortable for them to ask. My business partner, Stacy, came into the business with a 60-hour-a-week job, a 4-hour train commute, 2 young children, and a military spouse. So essentially, it was like being a single parent. She moved several times in the first year that I knew her in business. And when she joined, she said, Sarah, I have an hour a day to do the business. What's the most impactful thing I can do? And oh, by the way, it's at 9 o'clock at night after my kids go to bed. I said, you got to get people on the phone with me. An hour a day, her first year, built to the top ranks of our company, and is leading a multi-million-dollar sales organization in an hour a day. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to do the hype and fluff, because I don't do hype and fluff. She worked her butt off for that hour a day and probably had 3 to 4 people on the phone with me every single night, because my calls don't go for an hour long. I'm going to tell you how I do them in just a minute. And then she replicated that best practice with her team, and they grew so fast. So, by the way, if you want to even take it up a notch now with technology, it is such a beautiful thing. It is such a beautiful thing. Do it on Zoom, where you can actually see people's face and make it personal. Man, it changes everything. It's so good. So, big mistake that I used to make with three-way calls. My three-way calls used to be an hour, and I hated them. I hated them. I hated them for the reason that it was just not an efficient use of my time. I hated when people would message me and would go back and forth trying to schedule them. Like, hey, girl, what's your schedule? And then by the time they get to their friend's no longer available, then I'm no longer available. We spent all the day trying to schedule the call, and then somebody says they're not available anyways. It was horrible. I hated them. So I started using a scheduler. I use Time Trade. I'm in no way affiliated with them. You might know of something better. But I put the times I actually wanted to do calls, nap time. For me, my son's nap time. I put it on is available. If I was going to lunch with my husband, I take some times off. If somebody didn't already book them, I was in control of my time. They could book. I'd get an alert to my phone. And in the little comment section, I always tell my team, tell me about your prospect before they get on the phone. I want to know a little bit about them, because I don't want you to tell me their life story when it's time for the call. I don't have time for that. They schedule the call. The second mistake that I used to always make was when the prospect got on the phone, I would say, tell me all about yourself. Oh my God. The most awkward question ever. You know what people always said to me? I remember those days I did, and I heard this response all the time. They'd be like, what do you want to know? Like, you don't even know me. This is so weird. Okay? So I'm going to tell you how I do it instead. The other big challenge that people have is, how do I get people on these calls? First, don't ever call it a three-way. Second, you're not on a call with your sponsor. Of what? Hey, just a chat with my friend, my business partner. Or if you're new, hey, I'm new and I'm just getting started. I would love for you to meet my friend so-and-so. She's had a lot of success in the business. You'd be doing me a great favor because I'd be learning a lot from her and you'd be able to learn a lot too. And if you're not new and just getting started, I'd love to introduce you to my friend or my business partner so-and-so. You guys have a lot of great commonalities. You're both teachers. I told her your story. I know she'd love to share hers and her experience, maybe answer some questions, give you some additional perspective. You have about 5 minutes that we could set up a chat. Here's when she's free. Of those times, what works best for you? So here's how my 15-minute max call goes. I talk for 5 minutes. The rest of the time, they talk. I always tell my business partner to make the person who needs to feel the most important on the line is the guest, not me. I tell them, don't say anything about my earnings, don't say anything about my title. That's wackadoodle and strange. Nobody knows what triple diamond unicorn even is, right? And then all of a sudden, before you know it, that person feels like you're trying to sell them on something, and it changes the dynamic of the call. No, the most important person on that call is the guest. Edify them. Hey, this is my friend and business partner, Sarah. Sarah, this is my friend so-and-so. She's in real estate. She is amazing. She is a top dog in her office. She's so great with people. She's so personable. I think she'd be great at this business. And then I'll say, Jane, it's so great to meet you. Tell me a little bit more about what intrigues you about our company. Why are we on the call today? Instead of tell me all about you. No, her consultant, her distributor, already told me all about her, what I needed to know. She's in real estate, blah, blah. So I don't need to ask her again. What intrigues you about our company? Now I know what to talk about. And I'll say, Jane, thank you for sharing that with me. I'd love to tell you more about what intrigued me. And I'll share my story, my why and my what it's doing for me. But you know, enough about me. This call really is all about you. I'm going to kind of let you steer the conversation from here, Jane. Tell me what questions you have. What would you like to learn more about today? Bingo. You cater the conversation to them. It's conversational. You answer questions, you handle objections, and you help in taking the next step. So Jane, here's what we're going to do next. Susie's going to send you some links to her business, some things to review. I want you to write down any additional questions you think of. I've got some time tomorrow. Susie, you got some time tomorrow? Yeah. Jane, you've got some time tomorrow between these times? Let's get back on the phone. Let's answer your questions. And you know what? If you're ready to enroll and get started then, we can enroll you then. And we schedule the follow-up, the closing call. And that's where we ask them. We ask them to join our team. So that was more about just the information to send and setting up the next appointment. We have to get good at conquering the close. There's 2 different ways that I like to close. The first is saying, scale from 1 to 10. 10 meaning you're ready to join us on the business and one of the largest packages, or 1 meaning you're ready to try the products and be our very best customer ever. Where do you see yourself? Because I think they can all plug in. I call it the 3 C's for a company: consultant, customer, or connector. If they're not interested, I'd say no problem. Who do you know it would be great for? I'd love your referrals. Or there's 2 different ways to join: customer and get these benefits and share your best customer program, or distributor and get these added benefits. Which intrigues you the most? Guys, at the end of the day, if you're learning anything from me yesterday or today, it's all about prospecting, it's presenting, it's working through the numbers, and it's continuing to show the plan. So, as I close today, I wanted to just share with you an article that changed my leadership and therefore changed my life. When I started doing these presentations, I felt like a failure when nobody showed, or when nobody joined. I felt even worse when everybody was quitting. And oftentimes we get so defeated by disappointments, which are usually temporary, that we allow them to derail us from our dream, which is legacy. I got this article, and I was talking to Art backstage, so I want to be very clear. This article was sent to me by one of my friends, Jordan Adler. And I said, I don't know if this article is fact or fiction, and I don't have time to validate the numbers. I said, however, sometimes we're inspired by real life stories. Sometimes we're inspired, right? Fictional, fact, fiction. We're inspired by stories just in general as people. But I'm going to share with you real life numbers too. So this article was sent to me. I have not verified the numbers, but it inspired me. I will share with you mine as well toward the end. So, prospecting, presenting. This is an article that changed my life. It basically took me away from that place of viewing things as personal rejection and looking at it as personal preference. So for example, if I said to all of you guys today, let's just do a real life example here. I have a job teaching kindergarten and first grade. Real life, okay? Let's pretend the job starts tomorrow. You'll get decent pay for a teacher. How many of you in this room today at the mastermind event would take the job teaching kindergarten for this school year? Raise your hand. Like hi, so I can see you. Or maybe like shout, anybody? 2! Woo! So do the rest of you think that teaching is dumb? You think I'm dumb? Don't answer that. We don't devalue the teaching profession. It's not for you. Why do we act like a bunch of aliens when we enter into this business? They don't like me. They've rejected me. No, not everybody is called to be an entrepreneur, right? So, takes that away. So, here's a story for you guys. Mark Yarnell, minister in a small town in Texas, was headed for bankruptcy, just about to lose everything. He looked for a way out, and he discovered network marketing. And luckily, he had a wise sponsor. The sponsor gave Mark the promise. This business can set you free financially in 1 to 3 years, but he also gave him the price. See, we make a mistake when we tell people they can get rich quick, and it happened overnight, and we don't tell them that it's going to be hard work. And they're going to face rejection, and all of their friends are going to say they're crazy or say no. I believe in being honest with people. To succeed, you're going to have to face and conquer 4 major enemies. And Mark said, it's a deal. Mark began by inviting 200 friends to his house to watch a video. 80 said, no, not interested. He encountered enemy number 4, attrition. Oh, I'm sorry. I think these are out of order here. Oh, yep. Okay, so here we go. Okay. So he invited 200 friends over to his house to watch a video. 80 said, no, not interested. Mark encountered enemy number 1, rejection. He thought, no problem. My sponsor warned me about that. I've still got 120 people coming over. But guess what? He encountered enemy number 2, deception. Mark thought, no problem. My sponsor warned me about that. I've got 70 people who watched the tape. Guess what? 57 of them said, not interested. He encountered enemy number 3, apathy. Undaunted, Mark thought, no problem. 13 people signed up. Guess what? 12 of them dropped out of the business shortly thereafter. He encountered enemy number 4, attrition. Attrition left him with 1 serious distributor, but that distributor earned him over $50,000 a month. His story is not unique. Goes on to tell the stories. You may have heard of Bill Britt, one of the most successful distributors in Amway. 2020 did a feature, many of you remember, on Amway. Spent 19 minutes interviewing the whiners and complainers, people who failed. They show their garages full of product they couldn't sell. And during the last minute of the show, they interview Mr. Britt at his home. And they say, this business has obviously worked for you. Success leaves clues. What's your secret? He said, there's no secret. I showed the plan to 1,200 people. I presented it to 1,200 people. 900 said no. 300 signed up. Of those 300, 85 did anything at all. Of those 85, only 35 were serious. Of those 35, 11 made me a millionaire. Like Mark Yarnell, he worked through the numbers. Jason Barreco told his story. When he was a distributor, he signed up 50 people at the time, right, that this article was sent. He heard lots of no's on the way to those 50. He took one man who he knew would be terrific to lunch. He told him about the business and basically goes on to say over and over and over again. On the 7th meeting, the 7th month, something changed for that guy. The guy said yes and made him over $1 million in his business. He worked through the numbers. He kept presenting. He kept sharing. According to Richard Poe in Wave 3, while starting Amway, Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel recruited 500. 495 dropped out. The 5 that didn't quit built a huge business in Amway. They had to work through their numbers. Many similar stories. Jeff, who was a top money earner in Manitech, signed up 27 people his first month. That's not normal. I shared in the leadership session, by the way, when we tell people to go recruit 50 people in a day, we are doing them wrong. Okay? You hear my story. I recruited 300 people over 11 years. 2 to 3 people a month, guys. The most I've recruited in a month was 10. If you've done more, kudos on you. Okay? But we've got to set people up for success. But this illustrates a point here. He signed up 27 people, and one might think that he's especially talented. I would say it's sponsoring, right? But he's the first to say, I'm not talented at all. He feels he did poorly. To recruit those 27, Jeff talked to 200 people that first month, and of the 27, the only one who did anything significant was a guy by the name of Ray, who ended up having half of the company in his downline. But his word was, the numbers never lie. Pick a goal, get into massive action. If you talk to enough people, you're going to make it. I remember a few years in a row, we illustrated this principle at the mastermind event. And I was asked, it was all the top earners of their company to come up on stage. Anybody remember that event? And we were asked the question, how long have you been in your company? How many presentations have you done? How many have you personally sponsored? And how many did the majority of your income come from? We were in our business, at the time was, I think, the newest person in the business, like 5 years to over 25 years. People recruited anywhere between 50, I think to the time was like over 150. All different products, all different play plans, but we all did thousands of presentations, had hundreds of conversations, and the majority of our income just came from a handful of people, typically 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4. My personal number, I've done thousands of presentations, more than I could ever count. Hundreds of conversations, lots of 3-way calls. I signed up over 300 over 11 years. My organization now has over 300,000 distributors. You know, we're a multi-billion-dollar sales team. The majority of it comes from 6 of the 300 that I sponsored. So here's the lesson. And by the way, we don't own people's success or failure. It's not fair to say they're successful because I was such a great leader, but it's also not fair to say they failed because I'm a failure. We're responsible to get people off to a great start. I'm a teacher. You guys hear me train. I pour my heart out into training for my team. It's their choice to plug in. It's their choice. So it doesn't mean I was lousy or they were lousy. People's timing has to be right. Some people are motivated, driven, some people are not. I did a Facebook Live the other day. Are you a leader or are you a leaner? Or are you a learner? You're on your way to becoming a leader. The choice is yours. But here's the bottom line. Your success is directly related to the degree in which you're willing to find others like yourself who are committed to succeed. Mark Yarnell's odds in the story were 1 out of 50. Jeff's 1 out of 2,000. Would you be willing to go through 200 people to hear, no, 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 no. If I did this in a room full of 200, just to hear one yes. If they would make you $50,000 a month, or go through 200 people to build a multi-million-dollar sales team, or hear uncounted no's to sign up 50 people to find a $1 million leader, $1 million organization. I hope you will. It would be easier if we knew the odds up front. You know, I give this analogy and I'll say, if you had 4 gold bricks in your backyard, now pending that it was going to pay you more money than it would to destroy your backyard, If somebody promised you, there's 4 gold bricks, would you dig until you found them? Yes. It's not a question of, will I find the people? If you have one person who's successful in your company, success leaves clues. You can find more people who will run further and faster than you, but you have your own set of odds. You won't know what they are until after you've succeeded. So if you've gone through 50 people or 100 people and you haven't found one serious person yet, you can give up and assume that the business doesn't work for you, or recognize that you are working through your own set of numbers. But are you willing? Your willing to has to be greater than your wanting to. Are you willing to find out what your own personal set of odds are? Are you willing? Are you willing to pay the price for freedom? Are you willing? So that means we must be willing to pay the price. You're either willing to do these presentations or you're not. Oh, that's just not for me. We're not doing events. Just not for me. You're willing to or you're not. But the numbers don't fail you. Despite where you are in your skill level, your success is assured if you talk to enough people. And as your skill improves, so do your odds. There is no such thing as luck in this industry. Winning big is a matter of being willing to pay the price. Are you willing? The future is in your hands. The choices you make today will determine the course of your future. It decides your legacy, what it looks like for your children, for your children's children. So keep prospecting, guys. Keep presenting. Keep persevering. And remember, it only takes a few. So go for your gold. Thank you, guys.